Again, joy is my inheritance.
Joy is my inheritance.
And joy is my function.
Joy is my function.
Joy is my inheritance.
Joy is my inheritance.
Let's just take this in. And joy is my function.
And joy is my function.
Doesn't that feel good? You see, the thing is what I'm going to get into today in my talk, which is called Live a Joyful Life. It's live it. Live it. And the way that we live it is by really recognizing and really believing that it's our inheritance and it's our function. And what does that mean? Is that it doesn't leave us. And Unity teaches that. Unity teaches that the divinity that was in Jesus, in Christ, the Christ in us, is always there, and there's always joy there, regardless of what types of problems might be going on. And you said it so perfectly, Carol, this morning when you said you were all frazzled and all of a sudden you had to go and do this presentation. And that was joy at work with you. It never left you. It was there. For a second you might have forgotten and you might have been like, oh my goodness, out of sorts, but then you got there and everything showed up, the prayers of the church showed up for you. It's because our joy is always there. We just might forget about it for a hot second, like I like to say, for a second, but it's always there. Your joy is always there. The course, the spiritual text, the course says, happiness is your inheritance and happiness is your function, and God's will for you is happiness. And this is the truth. It really is true. I'm feeling very joyous this morning. And the reason I'm feeling joyous is because I have a 7-month-old. And I got to sleep last night. I got to sleep last night. I'm usually on fire when I speak and I have so much energy, but today I'm going to have a lot more. So just hold on. Because we're in for a treat. Why? Because we're worthy of it. We're worthy. We're worthy of feeling good. We're worthy of living our joy. We're worthy of living happiness regardless of what's going on in form. We are worthy of that. It's our dominion. So I want you to start to take that in and start to have acceptance of that and being, this feels good. But the key is that you see how it was joyful because something good happened, right? The key is, and that is the principal thing of the talk today, is that you are in joy even when stuff is not so good. When things are not looking so good in form. That's when you want to practice your joy and kick it up a notch and kick up your relationship with spirit is to hold that joy, just as Carol had said earlier, to hold that joy regardless of what's going on in form. The surprises that we're given, the problems that supposedly occur in the world, money issues, relationship issues, health issues, all kinds of things. It's hard. It's not easy. It is not easy living in this world of duality because when you have a problem and you solve the problem, guess what? You're going to have another one. And another. And another. So you want to start to get really good at having fun with your problems. And what happens is that easy starts to get very normal. Because easy is normal when you do things with what my beautiful friend here had said earlier, beautiful introduction, thank you, Carol. She had explained about the Holy Spirit. If we do it with Holy Spirit, it is easy. Easy is normal, but it starts to get really hard when our concept of ourselves, our personality self, the concept of Maria, tries to do it. When I try to do it, it's not fun, and I suffer a lot. But when I do it with spirit, it is very easy. And that's when I live my inheritance and joy. Because when I'm living in my inheritance and joy, it's very easy to function. Now, I just got back from a 2-month vacation tour. I did a book tour first in Miami, then I went up to London to do a book event there, and then I went to Germany, and while we're at it, we just stayed with my husband's parents for the rest of our stay. And I just got back a week ago. And I was so excited to get back. I was like, finally, I get to have my bed, my kitchen. I get to have the toys that my son plays with. It's like, I was so excited. So I get home and I go to sleep, and I didn't sleep well because of the time change, and my baby's sleep is out of whack. And so therefore mine is as well. So I start to, every day, I'm not happy. I'm not feeling good. I'm not sleeping well. The baby's waking up like 3 or 4 times, which she didn't do before. I'm feeling cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and it's not the cereal. I'm like, I'm just not feeling like myself. And I love to teach with example of how I'm able to change things around, because how many of you also feel out of sorts sometimes? How many of you feel like I was this week that I came back because I saw mail piled up? You know, somebody had stayed in our house as an Airbnb, and they left things out of sorts. My Jesus painting was next to my refrigerator. I guess they don't like spirituality. So believe it or not, it didn't feel. My angel cards were in the garbage, but it's all these things. Yes, we're not gonna make it a big deal, okay? That's our job. Woo, woo, woo. The sound effects. Da 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 da. So I was not feeling like how I thought I was. The expectation that I had being back home after 2 months. I was exhausted. I was not inspired at all. I didn't really feel to talk to anybody. I started to feel like, you know how they talk about like this postpartum depression thing? I was like, am I depressed? I'm a happiness teacher. So what I did was that I kind of thought of what I'm just speaking about here, which is joy is my function and joy is my inheritance, and it doesn't leave me. So regardless if I feel out of sorts, regardless if I feel all over the place, how many of you kind of feel maybe this morning that you're all over the place? Or that you might not have it all together? Right? Yes, right? It's like, and for me, how I started to get back to my joy is having acceptance of that. Hey, you know what? I'm all over the place. And? Right? And I don't have it all together like I usually do. And I'm a happiness teacher, and I speak about joy, and I have a book that's called Live Your Happy, and I'm not feeling happy. And it's okay. That is how you start to live happiness. That's how you start to live your joy, is when you're honest, when you're compassionate with yourself. Hey, you know what? I'm not doing too good today. Now, it's not to be wallowing in your misery either, but it's to have acceptance, and you want to feel it to heal it. You want to feel that frustration. You want to feel that upset. You know, I had to feel, hey, you know what? I don't feel good right now, and I feel out of sorts, and I'm so upset that I can't sleep. You know, it's kind of just really being accepting of that, because when I reject it, like there's something wrong here, I'm a reverend and I'm a teacher and I'm not supposed to feel sad, it doesn't work for me. I need to embrace it. Hey, you know what? I don't feel good today. And this started to continue every day. But every day what I did is, as my job to walk my talk, my job as a teacher is to live what I'm talking about. Then what am I doing here? Right? So what I did immediately was that I started to journal in the morning, and I started to ask Spirit for insights. You know, basically, how am I supposed to function right now and have a career as a speaker and be a mother and feel like crap sometimes? Like, how does that work? How am I supposed to do this? And Spirit so generously, so gracious, always answers the call and says, Maria, I understand that you don't feel too good today, because Spirit's always going to meet you where you're at. And I feel its love embrace, pat me on the shoulder and say, I know this is not easy. I know that this is hard. I know that this is uncomfortable. But you're so hard on yourself. You're so hard on yourself. Isn't that kind of crazy how hard we are on ourselves? It's like I gave birth to my son 7 months ago. I've traveled the world internationally. I went off to another country. I gave talks. I was nursing my son. I'm still breastfeeding. I'm amazing. Seriously, like, what is wrong with me? That's what Spirit told you. He's like, don't you get how amazing you are? I was like, I think so. it's so, and we all do this, and we're all amazing equally. Every single one of us that's here today. And that's out those doors, and it's in this world, because innately we're so amazing because we're in the mind of God, and we've never left the mind of God. That Christ is in every single one of us in our hearts. We just forget sometimes. But it doesn't mean we're not under the happiness umbrella. We're always under the happiness umbrella. Always. It never goes away. We forget sometimes. We start watching the news, we forget. We might see somebody that we don't like so much, we forget. We might get, news from the doctor, and we forget, right? So but it doesn't, this umbrella is following you everywhere. It doesn't matter where you want to move to. It's there with you, always on top of you, always surrounding you with love. It's like the golden crown, always there. That's God, embracing you, loving you, reminding you that everything is going to be all right. I get insights from Spirit sometimes. It's like, Maria, I'm standing out next to, behind the Christmas tree, waiting for you to remember who you are. That's how it feels. It's like Spirit is always there, just waiting for you to remember. So I want you to kind of think about it. If we've been taught in this society, and this is what my book Live Your Happy is all about, is we've been taught in society that hard is normal. And that being sad, it's normal, and having, to go to the doctor all the time, and all these things are normal, and our pain is so real, We've been taught that all this, and my mission in my ministry is to help and teach that. How about the opposite of that? How about the opposite of that? How about if having perfect health is normal? How about if easy is normal? Right? How about if being happy is normal? When I was asked after I published my book by podcasts and several magazines, as I was, launching the book, I would be asked, Maria, what are you trying to say? Can you be happy all the time? 24/7, 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. And I sat with that question, because it was a questionnaire that my publicist gives out, and I sat with the question, and the first thing that came to me was yes. And I was like, yes. I was like, wow. That's kind of daring to put that, because how can you be happy all the time, 24/7? Well, the answer is because it's what you are. So just because you're not happy, or I wasn't feeling happy after I got back from my trip, maybe I wasn't feeling as joyous as I am, it does not mean that I'm not that. It just means that I've forgotten. I think that that's so huge. It's so huge. It's such a game changer. So yes, we can be happy 24/7, 7 days a week. Why? Because we're worthy of that. Why? Because it's our inheritance. Why? Because it is our function. Period. We just forget. So to do that, we must have big willingness. You must want to experience your joy. You must want to experience your happiness. The only way I was able to get out of my funk is because I had big willingness. The Course in Miracles says all I need is willingness, and miracles happen. I say big willingness, big, huge willingness, because this world is, again, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's like it's crazy. So you need to have really desire to be completely radical. Be like, I really want to change. And you have to get very honest about that. Because I didn't want to change. I kind of was a little bit happy in my little suffering mode. Because we're addicted to suffering. I was like, this feels good to just suffer here for a little while. But when you start to wake up more, it's not as attractive. It starts to get old. It's like, I don't want to feel like this. And plus, I also see my progress, because I don't feel like that often anymore. My happiness, my true joy and happiness is more stable ever since I started to practice and live the principles. It's more stable. But I needed to want to change and have big willingness and my willingness was writing to Spirit every morning. That's my willingness. Like, listen, Spirit, I can't do this by myself. I need help here. And Spirit reminds you. So I invite you to ask. I invite you to buy a journal that excites you. I invite you to buy a pen that excites you now that the New Year's coming. And I want you to ask. It could be anything. And then if you don't receive anything, that's fine. Just put, I'm not receiving anything. This is not, I'm not happy right now because I feel like I can't hear Spirit. Is something wrong with me? Write that. And starts to see what comes. In that honesty, you start to open your heart and you start to receive guidance. Unity teaches us that this divine voice of spirit is in us, and we need to open up and be open to that. Because we have to get honest. Sometimes we want to change, right? You're like, I want to change. I want to be happy. I want to have a radical shift. I want to have that relationship. I want to have that job. I want to have this. I want to have peace in my mind. You have to get honest that sometimes, not really. Not really. Why? Because there's still some judgment you want to hang on to. There's just still something that you don't want to forgive. There's still something there that you're not fully haven't healed. It's like you want to heal, but you're not completely there yet. The way I started to change my life is because when I said, you know what, I am done. I am done with the suffering. I'm done with the sadness. I'm tired of looking for my happiness and my love outside of me. In a man was my issues in the past, you know. I'm tired of looking for my happiness in my career. I'm tired of looking at my happiness of what people think about me. I'm tired of that. I'm done. I want to be free of that. I want to live in freedom. I want to live recognizing that nothing outside defines me. God does. God does. It's funny because when I became an author, I started to come to terms like, hey, you know, I'm an author and it's not a big deal. You know, I'm a speaker and it's not a big deal. It doesn't matter. What matters is God. What matters is that God defines me. That's how I live in peace. Because then I'm not a slave to what I do. I get to show up here and I get not to be nervous. I get to be fully self-expressed because I'm not here to be perfect and I'm not here to do it perfect. I'm here to be and I'm here to serve and I'm here to love. And as I wake up, you wake up, as you wake up, I wake up, because we're all ultimately teachers of God. We're all teaching individually. You don't have to be up here on a podium to teach. You could teach in your workplace. You could teach while you're home today. You could teach while you're on the phone today. You could teach while you're driving. You could be driving and just think of the passenger that's next to you in the next car and just think we share the same love. You can be at Trader Joe's looking at the cashier. You could be like, in your mind, we share the same love. You don't have to say a thing. So do your part. Be of service. Because it's not for the person, it's for you. You start to feel good. You start to wake up. Because they're just you see? All right, everyone, let's close our eyes as we close in prayer. So I invite you, just take this in. Take in this talk. Take in what has been shared. And think about your commitment. Your commitment to living in joy, your commitment to living in happiness, your commitment to letting go of what no longer serves. Embrace this morning that it's okay and that it's just perfect and that you're doing the best you can with the awareness you have. We thank God for its love. We thank Spirit for its love, as we're so embraced, we're so loved. We let go of this morning of anything that's loveless, anything that no longer serves. We let it go. And we allow God to rule our world. We allow God to do its work through us, as we can't do it alone. We invite Spirit in as we declare easy is normal. Happiness is our function. Happiness is our inheritance. Joy in us is resilient. It's expansive. It's huge. It's beautiful. It comes out these doors and it touches every single person on this planet. As we awaken together more of the truth of who we are and let go of the old concepts, the old ways, the fear, the negativity, and we rise above to the love that we are, even sometimes if we don't want to. We're so grateful. Just take that in now as you take a deep breath. Let go. Amen.